In the snowy mountain town of Sälen, Sweden, the annual Rikskonferensen Security Conference set the stage for a pivotal moment in European diplomacy. Here, Sweden and Finland's foreign ministers took the spotlight, calling for a dramatic escalation in EU sanctions against Russia, urging their European partners to take bolder, more unified action. Their main focus was Russia's Arctic shipping routes, a vital economic artery that not only fuels the Kremlin's war machine, but also underpins much of Russia's global trade and energy exports. As NATO's newest members, Sweden and Finland now view Russia's aggression as a direct threat, not just to their own security, but to the stability of the entire Baltic and Arctic regions, where tensions are rising. Minister Valtonen emphasized that only a sustained, robust, and coordinated response from the EU and its allies can effectively counter Russia's long-term threat to European peace and security. The Nordic proposal aims to sever Russia's ability to profit from lucrative Arctic energy exports by closing loopholes in existing sanctions and targeting the shipping industry that enables these flows. By leveraging their new NATO status and the high-profile nature of the conference, Sweden and Finland are pushing the EU to act decisively, ending Russian tankers' access to European services, insurance, and ports, and crippling Moscow's war economy. This marks a critical turning point. For sanctions to truly bite, economic pressure must be total, coordinated, and relentless, leaving no room for Russia to maneuver or adapt. Despite multiple EU sanctions packages, Russia's maritime energy trade remains largely intact. Russian vessels still secure Western insurance and access European shipyards, exposing major gaps in the sanctions regime. The current approach fails to target the web of services, insurance, financing, technical maintenance, that keeps Russia's shadow fleet afloat. These tankers, often disguised under foreign flags, rely on Western expertise and insurance intermediaries to operate globally. Russia's evasive tactics, complex ownership structures, and ship-to-ship transfers have outpaced EU restrictions. The Nordic proposal would ban such transfers in EU waters, directly targeting a key method for laundering Russian energy. Crucially, Russia's specialized Arctic-class vessels depend on European shipyards for maintenance, a vulnerability the EU has yet to exploit. Sweden and Finland argue, as long as these ships can be serviced in Europe, Russia's Arctic energy profits remain secure. The Finnish-Swedish sanctions package is surgical and sweeping. First, a total ban on EU companies providing insurance, especially P&I coverage, to any vessel carrying Russian oil, gas, or coal. Without this, ships can't legally enter most ports or transit key waterways. Second, a strict prohibition on Russian energy vessels using EU ports for repairs or technical servicing, targeting Russia's high-tech Arctic fleet. Third, a ban on all ship-to-ship transfers of Russian energy products within EU waters, disrupting a core sanctions evasion tactic. Finally, a ban on EU-flagged or EU-operated vessels transporting Russian energy, closing off indirect routes. This multi-pronged approach aims to dismantle the support structure for Russian energy exports. The goal: make Arctic routes unviable for Russia, delivering a decisive blow to the Kremlin's finances. Russia's shadow fleet, hundreds of aging, obscurely owned tankers, exist to dodge Western sanctions and price caps. Despite efforts to self-insure, these ships still depend on Western services, often through questionable intermediaries. Some intermediaries, shockingly, operate from within the EU, providing a veneer of legitimacy to Russian energy shipments. The Finnish-Swedish plan would ban all EU entities from facilitating these operations, raising the legal and financial risks for any company involved. Without credible insurance, shadow fleet tankers become pariahs, too risky for reputable ports or canal authorities. Many of these ships are old and poorly maintained, posing environmental dangers, especially in the Baltic and Arctic. The proposed ban on EU port services would eliminate their safety net, making breakdowns catastrophic for operators. This measure tightens the economic screws and addresses a looming environmental threat. The proposed sanctions would send shockwaves through Europe's maritime industry, with shipyards that service Russian vessels standing to lose the most. These shipyards are not just economic engines for their regions, but also vital employers and contributors to local communities. Some, like Damen Ship Repair in France, have already taken a stand by halting all work with Russian ships, choosing to sacrifice valuable revenue in favor of upholding European principles and solidarity with Ukraine. Others, such as Fayard AS in Denmark, have actually increased their Russian-linked business, taking advantage of the lack of EU-wide consistency and filling the gap left by more restrictive countries. Without a universal ban, business simply shifts between member states, undermining the effectiveness of sanctions and creating unfair competition among European shipyards. This patchwork approach weakens the EU's collective stance. The Finnish-Swedish proposal aims to change that by making the ban binding across all 27 EU countries, closing loopholes and ensuring a united front against Russia's maritime interests. However, shipyards in countries like Denmark, Greece, and Malta could face significant financial losses, putting jobs and local economies at risk and fueling resistance to the proposal. The debate will expose deep EU fault lines. Some member states prioritize economic interests and jobs, while others emphasize security and the need to pressure Russia. Baltic and Nordic states argue that the strategic gain of weakening Russia's maritime and energy sectors outweighs the short-term economic pain for the EU. Ultimately, the proposal's success hinges on convincing the entire EU that crippling Russia's energy exports is a price worth paying for long-term security and unity. Finland's tough stance is backed by real financial commitments, signaling readiness for a long-term confrontation with Russia. Despite a projected $9.3 billion deficit, Finland's 2026 budget boosts defense spending and direct support for Ukraine. An extra $105 million is allocated for Ukraine, $100 million for defense materiel via NATO's Pearl, ensuring rapid delivery of critical supplies. $5 million goes to civilian aid, reflecting a holistic approach. The budget also funds domestic defense, including a new icebreaker to secure Arctic and Baltic interests. These moves show Finland's strategy: strengthen its own defenses, support Ukraine, and lead on sanctions. The message to allies: Finland is a reliable security provider. To Russia, Finland is prepared for the long haul. Even amid economic pressure, Helsinki's actions underscore that European security is non-negotiable. The Finnish-Swedish proposal has ignited a crucial debate within the EU, testing not only the bloc's unity and resolve, but also its ability to respond collectively to rapidly shifting global threats. As the proposal lands on the desks of European lawmakers, it forces member states to confront difficult questions about shared security, economic sacrifice, and the future of the European project itself. Northern and eastern states, especially the Baltics and Poland, strongly support the plan, seeing it as essential for their security and a necessary step to deter further aggression from Russia. For these countries, the proposal is not just policy, but a matter of national survival. But resistance is expected from countries with major maritime industries, like Greece, Malta, France, and Denmark, who fear economic fallout and job losses. For them, the proposal threatens livelihoods and could disrupt vital trade routes, making the stakes deeply personal and political. This sets up a classic EU clash of national interests, with profound implications for the EU-Russia relationship and the ongoing war in Ukraine. The outcome will shape not only Europe's external posture, but also its internal cohesion. If adopted, the sanctions would significantly tighten the economic blockade, directly targeting Russia's Arctic energy projects and sending a clear message of a hardened EU stance. The move could also reshape global energy markets and test the resilience of European economies. If diluted or rejected, it would expose deep EU divisions, undermine the bloc's credibility, and potentially embolden Moscow to push its advantage further. For Ukraine, the outcome will reveal not just the depth, but also the durability and reliability of European support in its struggle for sovereignty and peace. Ultimately, this initiative is a litmus test for the EU's strategic direction in a new era of geopolitical confrontation. one that will define Europe's role on the world stage for years to come.